There is a specific kind of woman you have seen in a restaurant, at a dinner, passing through a lobby, who makes you pause mid-sentence to figure out what it is about her. She is not necessarily young. She is not wearing anything extraordinary. Her budget is invisible. What she has is something closer to coherence, as if every choice she made this morning was made by the same hand, pointing in the same direction. That quality is not wealth. It is not a stylist. It is a precise understanding of how visual attention actually works. And once you understand it, the things you have been spending money on and the things you have been ignoring will completely reverse. The most common mistake women make after 50 is spending money to add a new statement necklace, a bolder lip, a more interesting blouse. But elegance at any age, and particularly after 50, is almost never the result of adding. It is the result of editing. Coco Chanel removed one accessory before she left the house every single time, not because she was minimalist by nature, but because she understood that the eye cannot settle on what it is trying to count. Restraint is not absence. It is the thing that makes everything else visible. The silhouette is where this starts, not with fabric, not with color. The silhouette, because the silhouette is what registers from across the room, before texture, before detail, before print. A woman who understands her silhouette looks deliberate from 20 feet away. A woman who is managing her silhouette in real time looks uncertain from the same distance. The specific shift here is moving away from clothing that clings and away from clothing that obscures, and toward clothing that follows. A straight-leg trouser with a slight break at the ankle, a blazer with a clean shoulder seam that sits exactly at the edge of the shoulder, not half an inch past it. These are not trends. They are structural choices that make the body look intentional at every angle. Fit is the word everyone uses and almost no one applies correctly. The common understanding is that clothes should not be too tight. The real principle is that clothes should not be negotiating with your body, pulling, releasing, shifting, settling. When fabric is in constant conversation with the body beneath it, the eye reads it as tension. Tension is the opposite of ease. Ease is the opposite of what most people call expensive. One alteration, taking in the waist of a jacket that fits your shoulders, costs less than $30 and does more for how a garment reads than anything you could buy to replace it. Color is where the most money gets wasted and the most ground gets lost. Not because women are choosing wrong colors, but because they are choosing colors that compete with each other. The visual principle underneath every elegant wardrobe is that the palette quiets before it speaks. 3 colors that belong to the same family, even if one is a print, one is a texture, one is a solid, create an image that reads as composed. 4 colors from 4 different families create an image the eye has to process rather than absorb. The processing is what creates the feeling of something being slightly off without knowing why. You have stood in front of your mirror with that feeling. It was not the individual pieces. It was the conversation between them. The specific fix is not building a capsule wardrobe from scratch. It is learning to look at an outfit and ask, is every color here a guest at the same dinner, or are a few of them crashing it? Burgundy, cream, and camel are at the same dinner. Burgundy, electric blue, and olive green are not. This is not about neutrals. It is about coherence. Fabric weight is the detail that separates an outfit that photographs as expensive from one that simply is expensive. Light, thin, slippery fabric, regardless of its price, reads as insubstantial on camera and in person. A blouse that moves on its own when you walk, that needs constant smoothing, that shifts when you raise your arm. That blouse is working against you regardless of the brand label inside it. Structured fabric holds its shape through a full day. It photographs cleanly, It requires nothing from you. The practical test: hold the hem of any blouse or jacket and release it. If it takes more than 2 seconds to return to its original position, the fabric has memory. Memory is what elegance feels like. Shoes are where the logic of elegance becomes almost mathematical. The shoe is the last thing the eye finds when it travels down the length of a woman, and it is where the whole picture either resolves or unravels. A polished, simple shoe, clean lines, no hardware, maintained, completes a sentence. A worn, scuffed shoe, or one with too many decorative elements competing with the rest of the outfit, leaves the sentence hanging. The investment is not in a particular style. It is in maintenance and restraint. A block heel in cognac leather, maintained and resoled when needed, will carry every outfit it belongs with for a decade. I built the Elegant Woman 50+ protocol for exactly this gap. The space between understanding what elegant looks like and knowing how to make it automatic in your own life on an ordinary morning without thinking through each piece from scratch. I kept working with women who could identify elegance immediately in others and still felt uncertain about their own version of it, because the advice they found was always general where they needed it to be specific. The protocol is a 30-day structure built around the refinement stack. How you dress, how you move through a room, how you receive guests, how you set a table, how you carry a conversation, each layer installed in the right order so that none of it feels performed. It is linked below if you want it. But there is one more thing, and it is the detail almost no one addresses because it does not live in the wardrobe at all. The way a woman carries a bag tells the room whether she is managing her life or moving through it. A bag worn on the forearm, crook of the elbow, hand free, signals that the bag belongs to her. A bag gripped in the fist, or clutched against the side, or adjusted every 30 seconds signals that she is managing it. This is not about bag style or size, it is about relationship. The women who look most composed with a bag are the ones who have made a single choice about where it lives on their body and left it there. Grace Kelly carried her Hermes bag in the crook of her arm, not because it was a style choice, but because her hands were free, her posture was unbothered, and the bag ceased to be a thing she was holding and became simply part of how she moved. Jewelry operates on the same principle as the silhouette. What registers first is the overall impression, not the individual piece. One significant piece, a cuff, a structured earring, a sculptural ring, makes a statement the eye can hold. 3 significant pieces ask the eye to choose, and the eye, given a choice between equally interesting things, simply gives up and moves on. The woman wearing one meaningful piece is remembered. The woman wearing 3 equally meaningful pieces is simply well accessorized, which is a different and lesser thing. The specific practice is deciding before you leave the house which one piece is the subject of today's outfit, and then letting everything else be the background. The last detail is the one that works on everyone around you without them knowing it, and it has nothing to do with what you are wearing. It is the pace at which you move. Hurrying is the fastest way to signal that something in your life is slightly out of control. Not because hurrying is wrong, but because the visual effect of a woman moving quickly through a space is that the space is managing her rather than the other way around. Audrey Hepburn was famously unhurried in public, not because she had nowhere to be, but because she understood that calm signals certainty. A woman who moves as though she has just enough time, not rushing, not dawdling, moves as though the world is arranging itself around her schedule. Because visually, it does. Elegance after 50 is not a reclamation project. There is nothing to get back. What becomes available at this age, and it is only available at this age, is the permission to stop performing and start refining. Every woman who has made a room shift when she walked in was not performing anything. She had simply edited herself down to exactly what was true and let that be enough. The result is not style, it is presence. And presence is the only thing money has never been able to buy directly. You now understand why the details that seem small, the fabric that holds its shape, the single piece of jewelry, the pace of a step across a room, are the things that actually move a room. The question is, what to do with that understanding on an ordinary Tuesday morning without a video playing? That is the gap I built, the Elegant Woman 50+ protocol to close. I put it together after working with too many women who could recognize elegance immediately and still felt uncertain applying it to their own lives, their coloring, their wardrobe, their specific home, and social world. The protocol works through the refinement stack across 30 days: how you dress and edit, how you move and receive, how you prepare food and set a table, how you hold a conversation and leave a room. Each layer building on the one before it until none of it requires effort. It costs something because building it took real time, and the thinking inside it is not general. The link is below.